Do you realize how many high net worth individuals are liquidating real estate for Bitcoin? Like if we just focus on the US alone, there's so many folks doing this in the US. It's like it'll blow your mind if you actually had the numbers. And what's also happening is that there's a lot of high net worth individuals from the US that are leaving the US,
Yeah.
even with Trump in as president and as glorified as everything that he's doing. There's a lot of big money that is leaving the United States to other jurisdictions. Why? Right? Because now they understand that, they want to live on their terms in places perhaps that are really genuinely Bitcoin, pro Bitcoin, Bitcoin friendly, maybe better tax incentives. Some places are very low taxes, or some of them are no taxes, depending on your situation, legally across the board. People are looking out for themselves. Remaining in the fiat system is a losing bet 100%. And you don't have to go out and buy one Bitcoin from day one. That's also something that a lot of people don't realize, which is, why they complain, oh, I'm late. Says who? Like, who said you were late? Who said you have to buy one Bitcoin? Did you decide this on your own? You can, first of all, when you use the word buy, it's not really accurate. What you're really doing is you're upgrading your worthless toilet paper into actual money. That's really what you're doing. So if you start saving Bitcoin, just take an amount that you're comfortable with and do it consistently. It's the consistency that's the key. Like I know folks that started with a 1% allocation 4 years ago. Today, they're at a little over 80%. And these are like modest people. Now, I'm not talking about like ultra high net worth folks. I'm talking about barbers, grocery store people, like normal people like you
Yes.
and me, but that have actually taken the time to listen to me when I spoke to them. Because when I first started rebuilding my life out of Lebanon, I was freelancing. I was literally talking to anyone who would listen to me on the street. So everywhere I'd go, whether it's a supermarket, a barber, anywhere, blah, 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 all day long. A lot of people would like think I'm nuts, but some people would listen. These are the folks that I'm referring to. And today, like whenever I bump into them, they're undescribable conversations. They're really like life-changing situations for normal people that now, for the first time ever, have a chance at life-changing wealth. You don't need that much, right? And another thing is that don't get dissuaded by the tiny number on your screen. Like some people say, oh, I only have a 0.01. It's a bullshit number. What is that going to do? It's not a bullshit number. Bitcoin is so scarce, right, that 0.01 represents a purchasing power much higher than you can possibly imagine. Like one Bitcoin has 100 million Satoshis, right? So if you don't want to look at the 0.01, convert it into Satoshis. So you'd have a much bigger number, right? So if that makes you feel better, that number, that Satoshi, at some point in the not so distant future, will have a purchasing power more than $1. So if you're holding, let's say, I don't know, like a 0.10 of a Bitcoin today, which in today's price, I don't know how much that translates to, like a few $1,000. That thing can be worth like millions in purchasing power, generational, life-changing money, right? That's the lens that you need to view Bitcoin with, and not just, oh, look at this pathetic little number that I have on screen. It's not worth my while. That's not it at all. That's completely misleading.
Yeah, and low time preference, right? Long term, like you said, work,
Yeah.
provide.
Yeah. This is not a race. This is not a race. It's going to take the time that it takes. But if you're just paying attention to the world today, it's speeding up. I didn't expect Bitcoin to be at the fiat price that it is, not at least for another 5 years. And we already broke 110, if I remember. Like I hardly pay attention to that stupid number, but I do it just, because I have to for conversation purposes. But we hit 110, right? Now it like retraced for, whatever nonsense is going on out there, temporarily, of course. But it's going to keep going, and much quicker than anybody realizes, especially this year. With everything that's going on, it's literally that beach ball example. Like, forces are trying to keep that Bitcoin beach ball pressed, but the pressure is so tense that any day now, you're going to see it, blow out, and no one's going to see it coming, except those, of course, that are sitting in self-custody, just smiling at that point.
So well said. Do you think, or do you look at, so when we're talking about Bitcoin and value as opposed to Bitcoin and price, because again, how do you measure something with this moving fiat toilet paper? It's impossible. So do you look at like Bitcoin versus gold or Bitcoin versus real estate? Like when you're trying to just measure it in terms of purchasing power and where we're at, because I know I was looking at, it was one of Preston's things, or one of their macro things he did with Dr. Jeff, and and I think they were looking at Bitcoin versus gold, and that's always the one I kind of like using. So is there something that you kind of look at just to kind of gauge purchasing power and where we're at?
I used to, not anymore, simply from a practical perspective. Like, I'm a tech guy, right? Like, what am I going to do with real estate or gold? Can I take it with me on a whim? Can I pay you with my house if I wanted to, send you money? I can't. I have like many hurdles to go through to deal with it. It's too much of a headache. Whereas in Bitcoin, it's a 20-second transaction. I can be anywhere, doing anything, and the amount is irrelevant. If I send you $1 or $1 million, it takes me the same 20 seconds to do it. Nobody's permission to ask, no papers to fill, no regulations to worry about. Give me your address, scanned, done. That's powerful, man. Like, if you're in emergency and you have to leave and you have to, pay for stuff, you don't need the headaches of asking permission. You're the bank now. You are the head of security. You're the king. This is your time and energy. You control it and do whatever you want with it. And if you're living somewhere where they're giving you headaches about this, well, then consider leaving. It's not like you're stuck. Nobody's stuck. But, hard decisions, they take time, right? But often it's the right ones that are the hardest to take. Believe me, very few people have taken the hard decisions that I have in the last 5 or 6 years. And if I can do it, everybody can do it. Okay? As impossible as things may seem, there's always a glimmer of hope that you can hold on to. In my case, it really came down to legacy. Like, what legacy did I want to leave to those who depend on me? If I left, like if I took the shortcut, what message would that have left? Look at that loser. Things got tough. He left. Whereas the flip side is, you turn this nightmare into a life-changing experience for yourself, but more importantly, for as many folks that you can reach. That is my mission here. It's no longer to make money. Like I've said this multiple times, my mission here is no longer to become like this multi-billionaire. My mission here is to educate, to build that army in order to see the world that I want to live in, because that's going to be the ultimate revenge, the ultimate win for society in general. When you see the corruption collapse, human beings win. And that's where we enter into that renaissance, new world that everybody's talking about. And the only way that world exists is if there's no chance in hell any one of us can corrupt it. And the only way that's going to happen is by using incorruptible money that nobody can control or manipulate. That is Bitcoin. And at some point, mark my words, when governments really become entrenched in this, those that get it will create federal laws making it illegal or like a criminal offense at the highest level for anyone to screw around with the Bitcoin network on any level, whether it's a joke or otherwise. You try to screw around with the Bitcoin network, we're throwing you in jail permanently. Because now it is the lifeline of society. Right now, they have a vested interest in it. So it's going to go from this, we hate it, we have to destroy it, we have to kill it, it's criminal money, to if you touch it, you're done. That's what I think is going to happen. Because, again, at some point, you'll have no choice. Bitcoin will dominate. So whether you want to stop it or not, it's a failed effort. Peer-to-peer money. You cannot stop this. If they failed at stopping the file sharing of music and movies and, meaningless files, you think peer-to-peer money is going to be halted somehow? Something that 8 billion people absolutely need. It's not a luxury item. It's a must-have. And when you understand that you can transact with this even without the internet, you know how powerful that is? That is innovation beyond the 7 wonders of the world. For me, it eclipses all of them. This will be the single most, earth-shattering innovation we have ever seen. Incorruptible money. No one can really comprehend the significance of this yet, because we're not catapulted 50 years into the future to see, that glamorous lifestyle where we're going back to the old days. Back in Europe, for example, you see how they used to build
beautiful
all
stuff.
of this nice architecture and all, why don't we see this stuff anymore? What happened to it? Mm-hmm. There's no more incentives for it, right? So maybe we go back to that type of world again, where you don't have to slave to have a good life. You work less, you live better, everybody's healthy, everybody's having big families again. What happened to big families? Most people today don't even have a single child because it's just too expensive. My parents had 8 kids. They come from a family of 8 kids each.
Wow.
What happened to those big families?
Yeah, sad.
No one's you tell somebody have 8 kids today, they'll go
kill over.
They'll sprint in the other direction so fast. You'll never see them again. So that's the kind of world that, I'd like to see. The whole family bond back in shape, big families, kids. No one is stressing for money. No one's worried about a bill that's unpaid. Everybody's loving each other again. There's no reason for friction because everybody's comfortable, right? There's no more wars. Nobody can fund them. There's no more corruption. Nobody can fund it. A lot of things that we're not even thinking or contemplating about today happen in a world where money is no longer corruptible, right?
I would love for you to unpack a little bit of, like you said, there won't be nearly as much corruption because no one can fund it. Will traditional banks and government and the IMF, the World Bank, will they become obsolete? Will they go away completely? Will they just diminish back to the size of how the American founders envisioned them to be, very limited in scope, more decentralized, more local municipality type of stuff, where we can obviously have our eyes on it very easily? How do you kind of see that playing out? Because I would love for you to touch on these incentives of what Bitcoin does to suffocate these huge centralized entities, to suffocate the rehypothecation efforts, to suffocate corruption.
If you want the answer to that question right there and you like that spicy clip, check it out here. Come on, we'll see you in there. But if you want the full interview in its entirety, all the spicy clips put together, and you're not going to want to miss it, believe me, then check that out here. Come on, we'll see you in there. Do it.